So I wasn't actually going to do a video today, and then I was, and then I wasn't. And it just got to the point when I finally decided to do a video that I had to wait. I had to wait to have this space in order to record it. I had to wait for my laptop to charge up. I had to wait, even though I'd decided what I was going to do, which was quite frustrating, actually. And what became more frustrating is realizing if I'd done the video when I felt the urge to do the video, not only would it have been more, not pure, but channeled in the present, there would have been less judgment around the video, because I wouldn't have had time to question what I was going to talk about. I wouldn't have had time to debate whether or not the video was necessary. I would have just done what was needed in that second. And that feels really relevant. It feels relevant to the situations that are going on at the moment, but also to myself, because the card that I'm actually on today is Judgment. And that energy has really come in with, even now I'm like holding my hands almost in a prayer position. So let's just release the fact there isn't the judgment we think there is. We think that we deserve. I really feel that, because I've kind of gone through a rainbow of energy in regards to judgment today. I'll put my hands down. Just going to put my hands down and surrender. Yeah, picking the Judgment card today, I did actually tune into the tarot this morning, and what I tend to do is pick a card for guidance without looking, and then pick up any messages that I get and then look at the card, so that there isn't that preconceived idea, there isn't that judgment. I'm open to whatever might want to come through. And that's the beauty of doing this video, I guess. I don't know what I'm going to say, which means that my ego, my mind, can actually get out of the way, and what wants to be said can just be said. But we can have judgment with that, because we can have fear with that. Can I hold space for whatever wants to come through? And that's really come up for me today. So this morning's message with the tarot card, it turned out to be the Fool card. And the message that I got was, you are exactly where you want it to be. Well, obviously my mind did not like that connotation at all. So I observed it instead. I think my son's about to walk down the stairs, but we'll see. I observed it rather than getting involved and taking it personally. I observed the higher message behind it and the truth that you can obtain from that space. And there was a lot of truth there. I didn't want the coronavirus, far from it. But I felt innately that things needed to change, that we needed to look after our elderly and our sick, and the balance of power, be it money, be it spiritual knowledge, be it connecting to our higher selves, all of it just felt to me personally skew-if. And I wanted that change. I did want that change. And here we are with the coronavirus. Like us all, I guess, we've all at one point suggested that things needed to change. And here we are with the coronavirus, and the whole world is being turned upside down. I don't think things will be the same. I don't think they possibly can be the same after the coronavirus. And I think that has a double-edged sword. However, I'm not on Justice card today. I'm on Judgment card today. So maybe that in itself is my own judgment of how it could be. With the Judgment card, you generally, stereotypically, see people that are stripped, that are naked, that are rising from a death, from a coffin, from boxes they've placed themselves in a sea of dead. They have called out, and their call has almost been heard and returned. The clarion. It is the judgment. It is that rise up from where we are and make that difference that we've all been asking for. And that's the card that I'm on today. However, the one that I'm on today pretty much depicted how I felt this morning. I felt quite a bit of guilt. And at all the things that I'd asked to happen, subconsciously and consciously. And it made me really look at my mind, my body, and my spirit, and how in alignment they are, and how that isn't always the case, but also how that is part and parcel of the journey, of the rising. Now, I wouldn't say I'm 100% fantastic at not judging others, but my ability to see things from many levels helps me not judge people. And when I do, most of the time I can release that judgment for judging people. Apart from when it comes to myself. I am my own worst enemy. When it comes to myself, if I find myself having a stray negative thought, well, the energy that I then put into that negative thought with judgment of myself for having that thought makes that small thought 10 times worse than it ever was. And that's what happened to me this morning when I went for a walk with my dog. By the time I returned, I felt completely unworthy of doing a video. I had nothing to say, no different things from anybody else. Completely unworthy of being a dream keeper for the future, manifesting the world that we want to bring in, because I had too many judgments of my own, of how things should be and how I may have impacted things. And then completely unworthy of thinking any of the thoughts, because you get caught in that loop of what is ego and what isn't ego. And the truth of it all is it all was. It all was. This morning, with my own tarot intuition, my own guidance, what I clearly received was many, many, many years ago, as a midwife and as a soul. I was very happy to be myself, to plod along through life. I felt great peace with that, great freedom, and a lot of love, a lot of love. With awareness comes awareness of all aspects, including our own shadow. And my shadow likes to work on my shadow to the point where all I see is shadow, which is fine, but it's about bringing that into the light and seeing it for what it is and filling that circle, completing that circle. I nearly cancelled the video then because I wasn't sure where it was going to go, but I'm going to stick with this because, yeah, you'll probably see me live on camera with a shadow aspect. So where would I go with that? I find myself staring at a plaque that I have on the wall. And it's about families and different branches and different roots, but all growing in the same direction. And my eyes are being really drawn to the word lies inside the word families. And that's what I can feel collectively. When things start to come to light, okay, they may not be as pleasant as we are prepared to look at. And that can be painful. That can be very painful. To avoid the pain, we can give the situation more energy than it deserves. We can give the situation more information, more reasons to be here than it deserves. Because we are coming from a place of judgment. We are judging that this is painful. We are judging that it shouldn't be a certain way. So we are trying to rectify it, fix it, and make it better. And this is our shadow aspect. There are times when things are what they are. And it is our place to hold space. Nothing more. So for argument's sake, my negative thoughts this morning, assuming they are mine, that they belong to me, they are thoughts. By assuming they are mine, by holding on to them, by giving them a name, by giving them a judgment, I am letting that energy build rather than do the very thing I'm trying to subtract. And that is just to let it transmute. I am building that energy. When we step out of judgment, we are completely detached. That can be a very hard process. It's almost like, yeah, it is a process. It's a wheel. Okay, so we realize something, and to do that, it becomes separate from us. It then brings clarity to the situation and healing. We learn from it and we let it go, but we let it go by reabsorbing it. We reabsorb it, realize that it was never actually separate, and then we move forward. So what am I getting at with that? We are creating our own future, one way or another, and there's no judgment there, just the need to realize this. And if there are things that we might not like the look of, making excuses for it, reasons, opinions even, it almost feels like they're band-aids over the wound now. Let's deal with the wound. Let's start to dig deep, look at the shadows that are coming up and hold space for them with no judgment. Yeah, with no judgment. Good or bad. We have lived in a world of polarity for a very long time, and they are one and the same. And only from a space of non-judgment can we actually achieve that. Including our ego, including our mind, our body, our spirit. They are all one thing. So, where am I going to go with that? It's not about where I'm going to go. It's about where we're all going to go with that information. And the answer that I found this morning, there were two sides. I didn't know. And when I tuned in, I didn't know because it hasn't been written. It hasn't been written, and that can be quite surrendering. Yeah, it's no longer calling out for help. It's the help is here, and surrendering and trusting that and holding space for that without trying to fix it, without trying to rectify it, doing what we can in each moment. Handing things over to a higher perspective and being the channel that we're here to be. So much like this card, rising, stepping up to what's being asked of us in each moment, rather than sitting here trying to figure it all out. Me this morning, should I do a video? I don't know whether to do a video. Will this video even be shared? I don't know. That's not for me to decide. What is for me to decide is to rise up, show up, do what is being asked of my creator, whatever that is for you, whether that's your higher self, whether that's your government, whether that's God or spirit or source. Yeah, rising up and doing what is being asked of you without that judgment. Because we are held. We are held in this mass transformation. And that is what it feels like it is, a huge transformation. We are, like my banner says, all part of the one tree. We are all part of one family. And when things rise that we might not like the look of, the natural reaction is to separate from that. And we can do that with obvious separation or judgment, or we can do it with rationale and explanation. It's still separating. Yeah, if we have a child that behaves a certain way and we make excuses for that behavior, we're judging it. If we are truly comfortable and unconditionally love each other and ourselves, that isn't needed anymore. It just is. So that is interesting energy. Yeah, that makes the ego go, whoa. So you're saying this behavior is acceptable, that behavior is acceptable. I'm not saying anything. I am literally expressing how I feel in this moment, and that will change, just like life changes. If that triggers something in you, look at that. Yeah, look at that and let it go. Go the full circle and just let it go. So the last thing that I was going to mention, yes, energy, do nothing. Okay. It always seems to be part of my role to say to do nothing when all hell is breaking loose, whether it's as a midwife or in the middle of a pandemic. Do nothing. What I would suggest is really looking at what do nothing means to you. When we go into the space of no thing, what I call the void, There is great creation available there. There is great healing available there. This is the space of transition. When a woman is labouring, this is the space that she will go into if she feels safe enough to do so, and let her body adapt and change. And life, labour, becomes much more, not easier, simpler. Yeah. In the space of doing nothing, this is where I was many years ago, before awakening, before becoming aware of everything. And I thought it was ignorance, but actually it's that energy I'm longing to return to. I know everything that I know will never be forgotten because it's part of me. But I also know that I can move on from that. I don't have to stay in that energy. I can absorb it and I can move forward from that. I went to stop the video again and it wouldn't let me. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up. Basically, the energy of doing no thing. Yeah, I'm just getting to show you to do no thing. Look at your judgment behind doing nothing, behind being just held through this transition, knowing that you will naturally rise up when you're in a space of peace, freedom, love. It will occur anyway. The labour will occur anyway because you will feel safe. This change, this transition will happen anyway, and I can feel that. I can really feel that around my third eye and around my crown chakra. Like it will just blossom and open. We are trying to make a lot of sense of things, and that is coming from a place of fear, and that is understandable. There is no judgment there. But the more we try and rush, the more we try and push this process, the more painful it's going to be. Let this open. Let it take its time. Let it come from a place of love. Whatever rises, let it rise. It's all part of the plan. Release the judgment behind knowing that things are going to change without your intervention. They're just going to happen. All you need to do is to hold space for yourself, to go into yourself. Yeah, whether that's confinement in your own home or your own energy, just go within. The changes are going to happen. They were always going to happen. It's the ego that believes it has to do something because it comes from a place of fear, and that's okay. That's okay. What I'm going to do, no, I'll leave it for now. I was going to spray something for fear, but actually acknowledging fear, thank you. When we acknowledge fear, it starts to disintegrate because it is seen for what it is. Yeah. So when these things rise, no judgment, they are there to help you transmute fear. See them for what they are. Observe them, witness them. Don't get caught up in them. And just let them be. That isn't doing nothing. That is powerful. That's transformation at its greatest because it's coming from a place of a much higher perspective. You're not this person here. You're not even this person here rising. You're not even this energy here. You're all of it from that place of observation. Yeah. So I have got some sound cards because I felt really drawn. I'm just going to have a swig of water. The cup that I'm using was my husband's grandfather's cup. He'll go mad for me using it. It was the only one left in the cupboard. And it's a commemoration cup for being a caretaker for so long at a school that he worked at. And it's got a big windmill on the front. And I just love the fact that as a caretaker, They've symbolised the windmill for the school, because things will just change. The wind will come. The winds of change are here. They will turn these things naturally. Our job is just to care for the future, just to nurture ourselves as the future and our family and our children, whatever rises. Yeah, that's our job. So anyway, these cards are from a really good friend of mine, Debbie Walker, and they're Sound mandalas. I was tempted to do like a sound bath, which if I do it, I'll put it at the end or record it or share it on Facebook or something. Because I have some beautiful pipes, not me personally, some sound pipes, including Soundathon and Metatron pipes, and Ganesh and the ancestors. They're all bespoke pipes from Debbie as well. So I'm going to go for this one. Interesting. So the card that I've pulled, the moment I've pulled it, I'm really uncertain, but actually it makes sense. And I feel quite emotional with that. I feel quite emotional with the energy that's trying to come in. It feels very home-like, and it makes sense. It's Atlantis remembering. And it actually says at the bottom, from the depths of lost time. So just take a moment to really look in to that mandala. The energy there is just incredible. And it's funny because at the top of the pack, I have sound like sparkles, and it's unicorns. Sparkles of life shine through, which is really interesting because this energy came to me whilst walking the dog, and I poo-pah'd it because, yeah, my own judgments. I've trained in Atlantean healing, but I still have great judgment on it, and unicorns as well. Absolutely massive judgments there, massive restrictive judgments there about the energies. And I'm aware of that. I am aware of that. But just looking at those two together, I really feel that behind the back of the bridge of my nose, which is wonderful because the one right next to it from the solfeggio is awakening intuition. And that's what feels like really occurring here. They just go beautifully together. I feel that in my solar plexus and in my womb. So just breathing that energy in. The legends of Atlantis speak of a time where power and greed destroyed their time. The Mayans speak of this as well. This is something that has been prophesied many, many, many times over. And it's almost like we are remembering this. And it's almost like we have chance to utilize the intuition that we had from previous lifetimes to now fix this. Thank you, but that can only be achieved by going within, because this is deep intuition. This is very old, very wise intuition that can only be found by going so deep within, past the judgments of doing nothing, past the judgments of what is going on around us, really connecting to who we are. I feel a real itching on the top of my head. I don't think there's anything else. I think that's actually probably enough, to be honest. Amazing. I've gone from debating whether to do a video, shutting it down several times over, not knowing what I was going to talk about, to actually, do I want to close it down? Almost like I could stay here, which, yeah, that feels really relevant. Once we get past all the judgment, once we get past all the fear and what we would like to happen and what is happening and everything else, it's kind of like, I like this space. Beneath it all, I like this space. I could stay here, which feels really important for quite a few people. So past the judgment, know that you are held, and make it worth staying in this space. It shouldn't take a virus for us to connect to who we are. That's the other thing that came through this morning. Judgments on doing no thing led me running around like a headless chicken, like it has most of us as a species, and it's nearly exhausted us, and it's nearly exhausted the earth, and we're being shown that. The power to do no thing is incredible. That's where we create. So know your power. Take care.